You're listening Beyond Discovering podcast. How are you doing, Matthias?
All good over here. How are you doing, Marit?
I'm good. We have an interesting guest today, Aleksi Salo from Mining Finland. Hello and welcome.
Thank you, Marit, and nice to be here.
In LinkedIn, you describe yourself as a simple presenter of complicated things. Could you tell us what this means?
Well, it means, as it says, sometimes you need to try to simplify your message, considering that the audience might not be professionals, for example, on your field of expertise, or just to clarify and make it a bit shorter so people have time to digest and understand what you're trying to say.
Right, I see. Could you give us some examples of this?
Well, I have a few. My background is in geology and mining, and I recall the time when I realized that this is needed, when I had to work or had the pleasure to work with contractors and also people living close to mine and exploration sites. So it was not the time to talk the geology language to people who are not familiar with the terms and scientific talk, which was familiar for myself from the university, of course. But then you have to put things in a more simpler way.
How did you end up in this position where you are at the moment? What is your background? You are a geologist, but what is your pathway to this point?
To this point, well, as many career stories are, it's a series of coincidences, but some maybe red line has been always there. Well, I studied in Oulu in the geosciences back in the days. It feels like yesterday, but apparently it was like 15 years ago. But after that, I worked 8 years in mining, at underground gold mining in Eastern Finland, and after that, 4 years in open pit mine in Central Finland, the only apatite mine in Europe, to be exact. And I still live just 2 kilometers away from the fertilizer plant and the mine. So I'm kind of also a stakeholder in mining business as well. And after that, I took a career path to Geological Survey of Finland, where I worked in multiple different positions as manager, team manager, project manager, and account manager as well. So I've also looked at the table from the public sector side of things.
So both sides of the table, or several sides of the table, are familiar to you.
Yes, you could say that, and the pathway has now taken me to this kind of leading of this technology cluster and business development side of things.
I think it's also interesting that how geologists can operate in so different positions. That you are, for example, not really working with rocks, but you are working with people and businesses.
Yeah, but I still miss the rocks. I think it's more or less also like a personality trait that you end up in something else that you kind of originally planned.
Yeah, it happens.
But I think it's a really good message also to current students. Yes, you work with rocks and so on for maybe 10, 15 years, but I mean, and you can continue until you get a retirement. But I mean, there's also a lot of opportunities to work within this field, within this sector, but you now maybe have to work with rocks on a daily basis.
No need to work next to a logging hole.
Rocks are more nicer colleagues.
Bold statement. So tell us about Mining Finland. What is it and what does it do?
Mining Finland is the association for Finnish mineral sector technology and service providers, including research and education as well. And from education side, both vocational and university level. Mining Finland was founded 7 years ago as an association with the purpose of export promotion, investments to mineral sector in Finland, and also R&D collaboration within Finland between research organizations and business entities.
What are the goals of this organization?
Well, one of the key goals, as I mentioned, the first thing and our main activity actually is the export promotion. So we for example, attend trade fairs, which is a tool to open new markets, for example, for our SMEs. But of course, we also want to attract investments to Finland. So when you put these two together, then getting more business activities for Finnish companies, both in domestic markets and specifically and more in the export markets as well.
I think I find it a really good and interesting combination that it's not only looking in one way direction, but it's actually also looking into what can we bring from abroad to Finland, because I think we have high level of education, high level of technology and so on, that we can take at least the idea or somehow develop it even further by combining the domestic to the international perspective.
Yes, absolutely. It's a good point, Matthias. You raised that the Finnish mining sector is still developing, but also it's not just the mining here in Finland, but it's also everything around it, the know-how from environmental exploration technologies, mineral processing, OEMs, machine manufacturing, and also subsequent value chains before manufacturing and after that as well. So there's also still a lot ongoing investments in this sector all around Finland that the bigger companies are expanding, for example.
So if I was listening to this podcast and I was a Canadian or South American or wherever and listening to Mining Finland and, maybe heard about technologies coming from Finland, one way is, of course, to reach you directly, but it would also be possible to meet you directly on these international conferences within the mining sector.
Yes, we have been, we go to 8 to 10 conferences each year. This year, I think the number we have Finnish booth is about 8. And I'm also visiting 2 or 3 where we don't have a booth. From Canada to Kazakhstan and from Namibia to Sweden, if you put that into action. And also, of course, Australia.
Where are you going next during this year?
In 2 months, we will be in Namibia Mining Expo.
Interesting. What else?
And after that, Kazakhstan and then IMARC in Sydney. And then I will probably have to take some vacation after those travels.
But you get to see quite a lot of different cultures and a lot of different levels of this industry.
Yeah, I get to meet a lot of people, but usually the trips, unfortunately, are that you see a lot of lounges and meeting rooms. But of course, you meet a lot of people, which is really nice, and you get to get different views. You get to different views from the mining sector from different geographical regions, and the investment environment, for example, is rather different in different parts of the world.
Right. If I would be someone who wants to organize a meeting with you in these conferences, and I would want to ask you why Finland is a good place to invest, how would you answer to that? And I have only a few minutes of my time.
Well, Finland has a good coverage of geological data, which is evident, of course, for you to make your decision on your initial exploration or mining investment. And on top of that, we have a rather straightforward jurisdiction, I would say, from exploration to mining permit side of things. So that should be taken into account. But of course, you want to know where you're putting your money in, and your aim is, of course, to build up a mine at the end from your exploration project to mining, and maybe some value chains after that as well. So it's not just these baseline things we have, in an orderly fashion here in Finland, but also if you look at electricity infrastructure, electricity prices, for example, I would say that should attract you to consider, because the production cost from that side is lower than when in some competing markets, for example. Subsequent value chain investments are encouraged. The regional land use planners are very much in favor of industrial projects, for example, in these industrial regions. So that should be rather easy if you have planned like smelting or chemical processing from your materials. We have good ports, for example. The infrastructure is good. You practically get anywhere. You don't need a helicopter to reach your exploration target, because we have the forestry industry been here around for the past 100 years or so.
Yeah, no, agree with you, and I will also maybe like to add the road network, as you mentioned.
Oh, yes.
But also the rail road network. So everything is really, despite we are this far north, we still have, or Finland has over the years built up a really good setup for this.
Yeah, and that's from the infrastructure side. But of course, we have many vocational schools and universities that teach mining-related topics. So we have skilled workforce available. If it's not available, they are always open to negotiate if some kind of training program could be in place for specifically that project and its needs for the future. That has happened several times, that if there's no processing controllers available, let's train a few so you can put your project forward. No problem. And of course, we have been able to develop this value chain of know-how and knowledge.
That is true, yeah.
Yes.
So starting from the exploration to the mining to the processing.
And aftercare.
And aftercare, of course, which is quite important these days.
If we're still at the meeting, and now I'm interested, and now I'm asking you that what about the sustainability of Finland? Everything feels so easy, but how about can you operate in sustainable way?
Well, if you look at the environmental permitting process, I think the permitting process takes care of that. You have no option but to take care of that the project doesn't have harmful discharges to waters, for example, and that you need to evaluate your impact very thoroughly before you can move forward with the actual construction. So the environmental permitting process takes care of a lot of that sustainability side of things. But I would also encourage the investor to maybe go a bit higher than what the environmental regulator is demanding.
Aiming for the social license to operate.
For example, yes.
But I also can see that this requirement that we have in Finland on the legal level also shows in the service provider sector that we have in Finland. For example, when it comes to environmental and water treatment and so on, there's quite a lot of high front-end developments that has.
Yeah, and not just technology, but also this very baseline planning know-how from environmental engineering, environmental studies side. But then, of course, the water treatment technologies are aiming also to more sustainable level as well, to provide solutions to the Finnish mining sector and global as well. And if I may add, the government is also very supportive on new technologies. The R&D funding levels in Finland are rather high and getting even higher in the next years. Talking about hundreds of millions of R&D funding coming from the government to the private sector.
So the state is funding research and development in a lot of money, and it benefits everyone in here.
Yeah, and of course not just hundreds of millions, not just for mining, but mining is or critical minerals to that matter. They are one of the part of the key pillars of Business Finland funding. So I would believe that also for the mining and related technology side there will be development funding available.
So where do you see Mining Finland in 5 years?
I need to look at what time is it. Actually, exactly 5 years would be June 8th, 2031. Well, Mining Finland would be the leading export cluster of mining-related, sustainable mining-related and mineral sector-related technologies and services globally.
Thank you, Aleksi, for this end. We are encouraging everyone to visit miningfinland.com and connecting with Aleksi on LinkedIn.
Thank you. And you can also find Mining Finland from LinkedIn and join our 10,000 followers there.
There's still room for others. Thank you, everyone. And we are getting back with you in the next episode.
Take care, everyone. Bye.